Hello guys, welcome to all of you the Data Mindset. My name is Amit and I'm your host for the session of Python. So we are discussing about data types in the Python and we are going to continue with that discussions. In the previous class we have discussed about integers, we discussed about string and we discussed about float. So today we are going to continue with that discussions and we will talk about some more data types in the Python. So let's go and start it guys. Okay, so come back to here and this is my Jupyter notebook. Here what we are going to do is we will see some more data types in the Python. And since we talk about string, so let us explore some more examples of the string. As we discussed, if you keep anything inside the single quotes or the double quote will be considered as a string. So let me write it down. Let's say I have written India, let's say I have written New Delhi, let's say I'm writing Mumbai is the financial capital of India. Okay, and I kept it inside the double quotes, and let's say I store in variable called A1. Alright, and if I just take the type of A, what it will return me? It will return me string. Alright, now let's take another example, and this time again I kept the same example. I'm just copying it up and I just put it inside a single quote. Previously I kept it in double quotes, now I just put it in a single quotes, and then I take the type of A1. So what it is going to return me? It is going to return me string. So as discussed, any elements inside the single quote and the double quotes will be considered as a string. Now what we are trying to do is we are trying to understand some more functionality related with string. So let's say if I kept this example again in the triple quotes, because Python allow you to keep the string inside the triple quotes as well as. So let's say I just keep it inside the triple quote and putting this entire string. And now if I'm going to store into the B1, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the type of B1. What it is going to return me? It is going to return me string again. Now the question is when we can use single quote, when we can use double quotes, and when we can use triple quotes. Let me show you some more interesting example to understand it when we can use single quote, double quotes, or the triple quotes. So let me put it over here and I just put inside this case. And now what I'm trying to do is, if my input size is, or let's say if my input string is very large, maybe in the case of paragraphs, maybe in case of multiple lines of the inputs, in that case my input will be looks like into the multiple lines. And if I take the type of B1, what it is going to return me? It is going to return me an error, and it is saying that it is unterminated string literals, right? So the question is why this is error? Because it is saying that sorry for that, let's say it is showing that unterminated string letters, because it is showing that is since we have started the string by putting into the double quotes, so it is trying to identify that is where this string is getting terminated, and for that it is trying to ask it where is a double quotes, but it is not able to read the double quotes in the line number 2 because double quotes is available in the line number 2. So in this case, if you are giving the input into the single quote or the double quotes, it is going to read only the particular line. It is not going to read in the next line of the input, right? So the first challenge is if you are using single quote or the double quote, Python will not read that lines if the input is going to break into the multiple lines. And here the triple quotes is going to make you handy, and to solve these problems we can put triple quotes over here and then triple quotes over here. And now if you write type of B1, it will return us string. So when we can use triple quotes? If the input size is very big and it can be into the multiple lines Okay, could be paragraph, could be sentence, could be multiple lines. So in that case we can use triple quotes. Okay, now let's move ahead and try to understand some more functionality related with string. So let me see, let me give one more example. If I just write it down, let's say I just write it down Jaipur. So this is a string, and what I'm trying to do is, let's say if I use few functionality, and how to check the few functionality. So what you can do is you just put the name of the variable, which is a, then put dot followed by press tab. Okay, a dot press tab, and here you can see all those functions inside this string a dot press tab. So you can see these all the function which is related to string. So let's say if I try to identify, let's say I use one of the functions called lower, right? And if I do it a dot lower, what it is going to convert? It is going to convert all the characters inside this string into the lowercase. Similarly, if I'm going to convert, let's say I'm going to store a dot lower into the one variable called b, and now what I'm trying to do is, and if I try to use a b dot upper, so in this case my output should be into the uppercase and the value should be look like this way, correct? All right, again you have to, let's say again I wanted to use some more functionality, so again press tab, and now let's say if I just use it like, let's say if I use alphanumeric. So in this case, if I want to test given a string is alphanumeric or not, so what it is going to return me? It is going to return me true, because in this case, since the string is having a alphabetical list, so alphanumeric is either one is okay, either one is true. So here it is alphabetic, and for the numeric case it is not the numeric one. So in this case, if either one is correct, it will return as true. Now let me use it another functionality. So let's say this time I'm using is digit, and I hope in this case what you will get? You will get false, right? Because this is a string and there is a no any digits inside there. So this is how you can use multiple functionality of the string. Now let's go and try to find it out some more functionality which can be very interesting. So let me put it a dot, and this time what I'm trying to do is I using count function. So let's say if I have to identify what is the frequency of the elements or maybe the characters inside this string. So let's say I wanted to identify the frequency of I. So what it is supposed to give me? 1, because here a dot count will be check the frequency of I. Let's say if I take another example, and I'm going to write a equal to Mumbai, right? And if I write a dot count function, and inside the count function if I wanted to know that what is the frequency of M, in this case it's supposed to give me 2, because there is a 2M in the lower cases, and it will give me the frequency count of M. Alright, so I hope you can able to understand that is how you can use the functionality of this string. Okay, now let's go to explore some more data types of the Python. Okay, so here we are going to use list. Okay, since we talk about string, now let's go to the list. Okay, so the question is what is list? Okay, so you can able to understand it. List, I'm just writing list in Python. As per definition, it is saying that if you keep any elements inside the square bracket, okay, so let's say I keep 2, 3, 5, 8, and let's say I write it down hello, then I wrote it, let's say Java, then I used 10.5, and then I wrote 35.2. So list is saying if you keep any elements inside the square bracket, Python consider that it is a list. Okay. It means that to simplify our definitions, this is a square bracket, and if I keep any elements, let's say 2, let's say 5. So Python will consider that this is a list. So let's say I store in variable called A1. And now if I'm going to print A1, my bad, it is going to return me, okay, bracket, inside that bracket there is a 5. Now if I going to take type of A1, it is going to return me list. So the question is, if this is a list, what is this one? Okay, so now if I'm going to store it into the, let's say, variable called A2, and if I take the print of A2, it is going to return me list. And if I take the type of A2, it is going to return me list. So what is a list? So list is one of the data type in a Python that can store heterogeneous elements. So what is meaning of heterogeneous element? The elements can be different data types. So here you can say the element is integer types, the elements are string type, and the elements are float type. So in Python we can say list is one of the data type in a Python that can store heterogeneous element, and it can represented by square bracket. Okay. Now let's go back. Now let's move ahead and try to explore some more cases of the list. Okay. So let me talk about again. If I write it down a square bracket, then what is this one? If I going to write print a, and if I take the type of a, what it is going to return me? Since we have not kept any element inside this square bracket, so we can consider that this is an empty list, and Python will be return me as an empty list, and it will show me the type of list, right? So this is how it looks like. So I hope you can able to understand it, what is a list and how we can write list inside the Python. In the next class we will talk about some more functionality related with list. And what are those functionality? The functionality are, is the list is mutable, is the list follow indexing, okay, and we will see some more additional functionality. So thank you guys, hope you enjoy this session.